at the end of the day, you have to really get good at building a offer, because really pricing, it really is a strategy. I mean, you got Target and Walmart selling the exact same thing, but at different prices, right? And so again, you have to really get good as an entrepreneur about pricing and of course building your product. So you have to really get good at building your products out. Hey friend, we are back with another unfiltered, unscripted, and unedited conversation with Myah Unique. Okay, and if you are new here, I am Myah Unique, your multi-passionate, purpose-pushing, visionary friend. And I'm here to show you that if I can do it, you can do it too. And today, I want to get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about what we all have had questions about. And that's, can I really charge my worth? I want to talk about all things pricing today. All things pricing in business. And I feel like this also pours into balancing, again, your profit and your passions, as well as should you do products or should you do services? So yeah, let's talk about it. So, okay, when I first started my business, I was definitely lowballing, which I think a lot of the times as entrepreneurs we do, right? Like whether you are a freelancer, whether you are a coach, whether you are offering products or services, a lot of the times, like, you think just because it's your day one, that means that you can't charge what other people are charging. And I think we focus on the wrong things. We think that, oh, if I am cheaper, or if I, only charge $25 for this service that other people are paying $100 for, then, it's acceptable, right? And so that's why I wanted to start off with this question, like, can you really charge your worth? And it's kind of like, in a way, I guess, sarcastic, because when I really think about it, like, a lot of the times when you are starting off, you have all of these excuses as to why you can't, right? So sometimes you think about like, oh, like I can't charge my worth, or yeah, I can't charge, I guess, as high as they charge because I just started my business, right? Because I may not have testimonials, because, I may not have, as much value as others have. But in our reality, you actually can charge your worth, right? It's just more so the work that you have to put in behind the scenes. And I always say that, and it's so crazy because I think by the time this actually goes out, I would have had hosted the Ideas to Product workshop. And essentially in that workshop, I am really pushing the importance or the emphasis of building a really good product, right? Building a good offer. Because the reality is people are out here selling terrible offers that don't even have no transformation. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, at the end of the day, you have to really get good at building a offer, because really pricing, it really is a strategy. I mean, you got Target and Walmart selling the exact same thing, but at different prices, right? And so again, you have to really get good as an entrepreneur about pricing and of course building your product. So you have to really get good at building your products out. And then when it goes down to pricing them, what I like to take into consideration is, number one, what is everybody else charging? So when I look out in my industry, what is everybody else charging? And then also, what is something that my target audience can actually afford, right? Like the majority of my target audience, what are they willing to spend? And I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we don't consider that. Like, I think so many times I've worked with so many entrepreneurs, and a lot of the times all we're going off of is what's in our head. Like, oh, like that's too expensive, or oh, nobody's gonna buy it. But the reality is you haven't talked to enough people, right? You haven't talked to enough people. You haven't interviewed people to actually see what they are willing to pay for. And then here's the kicker. There's other brands like yours who are selling the same products and people are buying. So now the question isn't, can I charge how much they're charging? The question now is, can I get my product or my service, can I increase the value, right? And I'm not talking about giving all of this stuff away for $25, right? Because sometimes we try to overcompensate. And I've had that struggle too, where you're doing too much, right? You done gave away a whole one-on-one call with you, a whole course, a whole workbook, a whole gift, and all of the things. You've done all of these things for $25. Friend, $25. The reason why we have these conversations is so that we can get real. We cannot afford. You're going to be burnt out and you're going to quit. Why? Because you are not building a sustainable business that you can actually live off of, right? Who going to live off of that, friend? Who going to live off of that? You can't live off of that, right? And so again, the question isn't, will people pay for it? The question is, will people find value in it? Will people be like, man, this is a non-negotiable. Like, this is actually going to solve my problem. And I actually need to swipe my card like right now. You know what I mean? The question isn't, will people buy it? The question is, how can I increase the value in it? How can I perfect the messaging of it, right? Because value has to do what's inside the product, right? But messaging is how you talk about the product, how you convey it to your audience, to their ears, right? It's what they hear about it. Like, this is the problem that I'm solving with this product or with this solution. You have to talk directly to people, because if you don't, just like I'm talking directly to you, friend, if you do not talk directly to them, it's gonna go over their head. That's why your messaging cannot be broad. It has to be very specific. People have to know you talking to me. You called me out, okay? And I think a lot of the times, like, our issue is, and again, that's the branding and the strategist in me coming out right now, is that we're trying to serve everybody. Friend. Take your cape off, friend. Okay? Entrepreneurs are not called to be heroes. You need to find that one person. That's why we put together customer personas, okay? Because you need to find that one person, right? The one person that you are trying to target, the one person that you are trying to solve a problem for. Will there be outliers? Of course there will be. But when you really lock in and say, nah, this is my person, this is who I'm really trying to sell to, it makes it that much easier. You won't keep getting people that's like, nah, like, I don't think that's worth it. They don't think it's worth it because it's not a problem for them. Because when I got a problem, okay, I'm going to figure it out. Whether I got to quad pay it, whether sometimes you take a loan out to pay it. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you get a credit card to pay it. You go DoorDash to pay it. When people really want something, they go get it. You know what I mean? They go get it. There are no excuses. Whatever somebody wants, whether that's an iPhone, an iPad, whatever somebody wants, they will make a way to go get it. And so that's, again, you have to get out of your head. I think pricing has a lot to do with you being in your head. Because don't get me wrong, you do have to validate your ideas. You do have to validate your offer. What do I mean by validate it? I mean, you have to go talk to some people, get in their head, put your offer before them and say, what are your thoughts about this? Would you pay for this? How much would you pay for this? You know what I mean? Like, and not even if you don't want to make it biased, you could just give them some examples. You know, how much would you pay for an ebook? How much would you pay for, an online virtual workshop? If this is everything that's included, how much would you pay for that? You have to do market research by, one, talking to your customers, potential customers, but then also looking at the industry. What is industry standard? You know what I'm saying? And again, that's why I labeled this video, Can You Really Charge Your Worth? Because again, it's a little sarcastic twist to it. Because people really be ready to combat you. Like, hold on, wait a minute. That's too expensive. Da 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 da. Bop, bop, bop. Right? Like, they be like, can I get a discount? Like, they do. But at the end of the day, I've learned, again, people pay for what they truly see value in, right? People pay for what they truly see value in. If that's what's coming out their mouth, They don't really want it. But as entrepreneurs, you can't get stuck on the people that don't want it, and that's, trying to toss you back and forth. You can't get stuck on those people. You got to go find those people that's interested. You got to go find those people that actually find value in it. In the workbook, in the workbook, in the workshop, in the program, in the course, right? In the service. You have to find the people that want it. Right? And again, I've had, when I first launched my business, I think, the first program I had, it was like $297. That was the first pricing that I set. It was $297. And I ran the program as I normally would. But I began to realize the value that was inside it. And then not only do you have to consider the value, you also have to consider the cost. How are you charging $25 when it costs you $25 to run it? You know what I mean? Like, you really have to think about that. And so that's the same thing I had to consider. Like, to run a 10-week program, I need Zoom. Okay, I got to pay for that. Then I sent to home, I sent to their house. I sent every student a whole boot camp box. That added value. Why? Because when I looked at my industry for coaching programs, different things like that, not everybody was sending gifts and personalized nothing, right? And so I'm like, I like to do it up, okay? They don't call me Myah unique for no reason, okay? One thing about it, we're going to be set apart. You know what I'm saying? So I really like to do it up. I really think about the experience, right? And so I'm like, I don't see many people doing this, so I wanted to do it. However, again, like I said, the cost for it was 8 weeks at the time. Cost for an 8-week program live. I'm showing up 3 times a week, friend, 3 times a week. And I don't think I was going live the other day when I broke it down. Right now, the price is going up to $1,000. But even when you break that $1,000 course down into 10 weeks, it's really $50 a class. $50 a class, friend. So you really have to think about it, because sometimes when it comes down to charging high ticket, we like, oh, I don't know if I could charge that much. But when you really break it down, when you really itemize, okay, I'm throwing out some big boy words. When you really itemize it and sit back and take the time to count up the cost, and all reality, listen, y'all, $1,000 is the new 100. I just was talking to my husband about this the other day, because when you really think about it, I could see if this was like a 1-day workshop for $1,000. And that's the thing. Even people are charging for that. Right? Because of the amount of wisdom and the amount of transformation that will happen. Right? But again, I think sometimes it really isn't, can you really charge your worth? I think a lot of the times it's really, what is your money mindset? Because if you feel like in your head, you ain't even put it out in front of people, but you feel like in your head, people ain't gonna pay for that. That's a hurdle you gotta cross for your own self, friend. But then you may go into and encounter people that you put it out there and they like, I ain't gonna pay for that. I think that's too expensive. Use that as research. Not as rejection, right? Because a lot of times we take stuff personal. Entrepreneurship is not personal. Use that as research. Why not? Right? Like, don't just let them shut you down. Take it in, okay, but why not? Why wouldn't you pay for that? Do you feel like it needs to be, more in it? Like, how can I better help you? Right? That's how any business is going to grow. How can I better help you? What do you think is missing? Right? Maybe they need a payment plan. Maybe they need, Klarna Afterpay. Maybe they need something to help them where it doesn't seem like it's this big, large investment. You get what I mean? So these are the things that I want you to consider, because again, I don't think it's a problem for you to charge your worth. There are plenty of entrepreneurs that are. Now, I'm not saying you gotta go high, right? Like, because there's different options that you can pick. If you're going to sell a low ticket offer, that means you need more customers. So if that's a necklace or a t-shirt or whatever, doesn't mean that you have to be the next Gucci, right? You get to pick what you want your brand to be. Do you want it to be affordable? Okay. Do you want to be Walmart? Do you want to be Target? There's nothing wrong with being Walmart. Walmart has a profitable business model. You get what I'm saying? However, they understand the role that they play. And there's even marketing strategies in that. There's a reason why they put 98 cents after they dollar, right? And Target gonna charge you the full $3. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a pricing strategy with that, because Walmart wants to be known for the deal. Target wants to be known for the experience. And so it really is about what you want as a brand. Do you want to be a luxury brand? Do you want to be a luxury coach? What do you want to be? You have to think about that before you just go in setting a price. Pricing is not random, friend. I want you to write that down. Pricing is not random. It's not random. Okay? And even though in entrepreneurship there aren't rules, there are resources, right? In entrepreneurship there aren't rules, but there are resources that you can utilize when setting your price. Look into your competitors. Look into your industry. Talk to your people. You may be like, oh, I ain't even started yet. I don't even know where to find my people. Right? But again, that's where you start with your competitors. Maybe you want to bridge the gap. Maybe your competitors are targeting, people that's 30 years and up. And maybe you see a gap, you see a need for 21 to 25. Right? But you have to get into real world scenarios. The longer it stays up here, your pricing, your idea, just everything stays up here, the more unorganized you're going to be and the more you're going to overthink. That's why you got to put it on paper. Okay? You have to put this thing on paper. And you have to start thinking like an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is going to say, okay, this is the business we want to build. It doesn't matter if it's Christian. It doesn't matter if you're a creative entrepreneur. None of those things matter. Yes, it's a piece. It's a part of your business model or a part of your business. Maybe your morals, your values, your systems, your offers. That's cool. But the reality is we have to get down to the logistics of your business if that's what you're building. Every organization, every business, every concept, every initiative, every nonprofit has a target market. You have to get clear on who you are targeting. Okay? And then you also have to be clear on what industry you're going to be operating in. That is what's going to help you set your price and charge your worth. Because you don't want to set a price this high and underdeliver, because it's going to bite you in the butt, right? But you also don't want to set a price so low where you overdeliver. You have to find a balance between what you deliver and what you charge, right? You have to find a balance between what you deliver and what you charge, because value and worth, that's what do they call it, like a invariable or a variable, like that's something that fluctuates. It really depends. It determines from industry to industry, right? Like I'm in the online education space, I'm in the coaching space, right? You know how far of a range that is? There's people that charge $200, $300, $400, $500 for a course, and I mean a 1-day class. Right? Look, even looking at conferences, there are people was like, oh, like $100 for a ticket. Do you know there are people in my industry that charges $1,000 for a ticket? $1,000 for a ticket. Y'all ain't hear me. $1,000 for a ticket. Right? So the range is different. Right? But guess what is also different? Our target market. You cannot select, let me be real with you, friend. You cannot select 18 years old as your target market and think they gonna have $1,000. just to drop. No payment plan, no nothing, just to drop. You know what I mean? You have to be realistic. Where are the majority of 18-year-olds? Just think about when you was 18. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that feasible for them? So maybe you can't take that approach, right? Because maybe that's not something they can actually afford, the majority of them, right? And so, again, entrepreneurship, it really is an experiment. It's trial and test, trial and error, right? Like, and I use my experiences within business to even teach and to educate others, because the reality is I've launched 3 to 4 boot camps, right? And so I've had experience with trying different pricing and trying different pricing strategies, payment plans, all the things. Like, I've had that experience. And the reality is, you're going to listen to this video and I'm going to give you the wisdom. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to test it out and try things out for your own self. You can say, hey, I think my target market is 25 to 30, right? But then you launch your product and you got more so 45-year-olds signing up. That's telling you something. Either your messaging is off or your product was attracting a whole different demographic than you ever thought it was. Take it as research. And then what you do is you take your wins and you repurpose the wins. Okay? Like, okay, wait a minute. We thought this way. But actually, these people and this age demographic is the ones who are responding, right? So again, I don't think it's a question of can you really charge your worth? I really do think it's a matter of, again, positioning, research, and messaging. I sincerely do. Because, again, I think there's no way there are people who sometimes have less experience than you do, less credibility than you do, can get out here, right, and sell a service or a product for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times more than what you have it on the market. That there's an issue happening. There's an issue happening, especially when you're doing the most and you're not getting paid the most. The point of becoming an entrepreneur is for flexibility. The point of becoming an entrepreneur is so that, you know, you can make a sustainable income. Like, we could have went into corporate and got paid less than what we deserve. But the point of being an entrepreneur is that, hey, I get to solve a problem, but I also get to get paid, right? Get paid well. And so, yeah, like, yeah. Why would I charge $50 for a logo when my industry standard, when I looked it up and I did research, people are charging $15,000 for a logo. Just the logo design. Now, when you come to talk about the whole brand identity, yeah, like, and so it's like, why am I charging $50 for that? Just because I love to do it? Just because, like, that's where we go into profit and passion. Just because you love something, if you keep working on that end of the extreme and you getting paid less than nothing, and you're operating in survival mode, that survival mentality is going to crush every bit of creativity and passion you got, friend. That's why you need to charge your worth. We don't just set prices on a whim. Pricing is set with strategy. Write that down. Pricing is set with strategy. No price should be set on a whim. You have to think about how much you want to bring home. You got to think about what's your money goal. You got to think about how much it costs to even make before you just start. You know what I mean? Even before you build out a product, you have to run it through the profitable idea test. Is this profitable? I'm currently in the process of building a physical product right now. And I'm having to count up the costs. I hear y'all. I know what y'all want and what y'all asking for. But the reality is, if I cannot make a profit off of it, because guess what? I'm a business. I got to be real. You know what I mean? I got to be real. But yeah, I got to be real. I can't afford, as an entrepreneur, to give stuff away for free, bite the cost of stuff. I did that, right? When I was doing retreats and doing all of these things. Hosted a whole retreat. I think each ticket was like $100, and that only covered the Airbnb. Do you know there was activities, there was gifts, there was all of this stuff, food, right? Again, I learned, like, you cannot afford, your business will go under. It will. Because the reality is, entrepreneurs, like, yeah, there are grants available and all of these things. There's loans and all of that stuff. But even when grants are given to you or loans are given to you, they are expecting you to make money. To use this as a resource, but not to just give it away. Right? So again, like, we as entrepreneurs and creatives, right? Like, we do have to find that balance of, again, passion and profit, because pricing and profit, it really is a strategy. Like, you really, it's more to think about other than what is a problem I could solve. Let me throw together this quick look product and sell it. Or let me put together this real quick t-shirt design and sell it. Like, it's much more to that. It's a lot more that goes into the decision making for a product or a service. You really have to think about, okay, is this going to make me money? Is this what my target market wants? Like, it's in demand. You cannot afford to just launch ideas just because. Not in a business. Because the reality is, you want to stick with those things that are in demand right now. We know trends come and go. Why do you think Target and clothing places like TJ Maxx and all of these places, there's a constant rotation of clothing, right? Because they do have to stick with the trends. They do have to make sure that they're selling what's in demand. There's supply and there's demand. Okay, listen, that's the basics of entrepreneurship. It really is. And so these are things that you have to consider. And if you don't walk away with nothing else from this conversation, it's pricing is really a strategy. Like, there's so much strategy that goes into it. So much planning that goes into it. It don't have to be complicated, but you do have to think about, what is my money goal? How much do I want to be paid? How much do I want to take home? You got to think about that. How much can I live off of? Because sometimes, like, if you don't have nothing, and you know the job market right now, you know what I'm saying? So again, you got this idea for this business in your head, right? These are the things you have to think about, because sometimes your business is your only income. And if that's the case, sometimes we look into all these other jobs, when in our reality, all you have to learn is how to price, how to create a product that's in demand. How to create a product that people are in need of, right? You got to solve some type of problem, whether that's convenience, whether that's affordability. You got to have some unique selling proposition. Again, another big word, but all that means is what makes you different. If it's only got to be one thing. Say you do content creation. I can guarantee you 30 days of content in an hour, right? But listen, don't just throw that out there. Don't just sell it. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to back it up with the systems in place. Right? You have to be able to back it up with the systems in place. So you're going to require some testing. Okay? You may have to do a little testing client or whatever. But again, these are the things that you want to consider as you are, thinking about pricing. You do have to find that one thing that you can really hone in on, that's in demand, that you can really make money off of. I believe you can charge your worth. I really do. I believe you can charge your worth as long as you got the systems to back you, as long as you got the value you bring into the table and the problem you're solving. I believe you can charge your worth. It just takes a lot of strategy. And again, before we go, I'm going to say the strategy is, how much money do you want to make? What is your money goal? How much money do you want to take home? How much money does it cost to make whatever your product or service is? And then set your price, right? Considering your market, considering your industry. These are things you want, like all of those things you want to take into consideration before pricing. I thought we was going to go into the products or services. And maybe I'll wrap it up here. Products or services, I mean, they both have their pros and cons. Like I said, I'm building a physical product right now. there's a lot more costs. That's why I say these are things you want to consider. I'm building a physical product. I'm actually going to drop the vlog for that. So you can see the behind the scenes. Because again, I'm show up to show you, right? And so I'm building a physical product. It is a lot more cost, right? Like if you go vendors overseas or you go vendors wherever you are, like there's a fee. Like it was like maybe $40 per item for in-state, right? And then it was like it's $16 overseas. And that's just the vendor part, right? But then I have to set a price to be able to profit off of that, be able to give discounts, all of those things, because you can make room for like sales and all of those things, but the reality is you still have to make a profit even after that. And so I like to set pricing ranges, right? This is how low I can go, and this is how high I can go. I can play with any number in the middle, but this is how low I can go for this price. I learned to do that for my own business, because I have to take into consideration if I'm going to do a sale, if I'm going to do a discount. Like, so that's what I would really suggest. Set a low and set a high. Again, that low is you can't go under this. I don't care what. You know what I'm saying? You can't go under that. And so again, with physical products or services, I will say there's more cost associated with that. You know, whether that's a in-person venue or whatever the case may be, like there is a little bit more cost with that. And I don't know, I feel like a little bit more at stake, but at the same time, I honestly feel like when it comes down to a physical product, I think that sometimes conveying it to your audience is a little easier, only because you can see it and it's tangible. Whereas with a service, yes, you can see it and it's tangible, but you really got to get good with experience. Like if you're going to provide a service or even like something digital, which I feel like digital can go physical more so than service. But like I feel like you really have to specialize in experience. And before and afters are really big. Like you have to have some type of proof to show like these are samples. These are, examples of the work, because I think services vary, you know what I mean? Like whether you're doing haircuts, whether you're doing, hairstyles, whether you're doing nail sets, like it really do vary. So I think with services, it's a little bit more, I don't even want to say creative freedom, but I'm going to use that word because it's like every client is different, right? So you really have to nail experience, and you really have to have some proof that, you know what you're doing, and you know what I mean? So that's where like portfolios and everything like that come in. But I don't know. I do also like when it comes down to products that it's like once it's built, if it's a good product, I can just keep selling it. You know what I mean? It doesn't require me to show up and show up and show up. And I think that for me is what services does. Like it's a constant pulling of you having to show up. And so, yeah, that's kind of my hot take when it comes down to products or services. I just think there's things to consider with both. You know what I mean? Again, physical products do require more overhead costs. So like costs to get started and all of those things. But digital products, I ain't gonna lie, it's low key where it's at, whether that's workshops, courses, stuff like that. I do feel like there's a rise on that. But yeah, services, I mean, they're great. I love them. You just got to make sure you're building a system that's sustainable. Because the reality is, for me and my business model, I don't want to be working nobody's service for the entirety of my business. Like, it's not sustainable for me. I'm going to be a mama. I'm going to be all of these things, right? That's not my vision. And so I think when you do offer services, you do have to think long term. I mean, that's any business, but you do, because the services, when you sell the service, you're basically selling yourself, because you have to fulfill the service unless you are building a business model that has a team, which then comes with another cost. Anyway, yeah, those are some things that I would say for products versus services. I think with products, when it comes down to charging your worth, it's more of a tangible product in your customer's hand. A service, you really have to get good with experience. So that's kind of my hot take on those two things in business. Again, to end it all, pricing is a strategy, friend. It really is. And whether you are doing services or you're doing products, like, it really still is a strategy to it all. There's things to consider, costs to consider. But yeah, it really is a strategy. So hopefully, prayerfully, this helped you a lot with where you are in your business. And like we always say, that's all. That's it. Make sure you comment down below what you would like for us to talk more on. Or yeah, just drop anything down in the comments and we will definitely talk about it maybe in our next video. So yeah, that's all. That's it. I will see you later. Bye.